As of this week, Sweden has denied the Jehovah's Witnesses government funding on the basis that the organization has violated Sweden's democratic standards. Under this new Act on State Aid to Faith Communities, any religious community that wants government funding must align with what they consider to be fundamental values, including, but not limited to, respect for individual freedom. So, Sweden concluded that the Jehovah's Witnesses were not eligible for this aid, considering that the Jehovah's Witnesses, according to the report, use undue pressure, namely pressuring members to cut off family members who leave, threaten minors in their congregations, and discriminate against same-sex couples. Sweden argued that the Jehovah's Witnesses shouldn't be allowed to hide these practices under the umbrella of religious freedom when their track record proves that they're committing human rights violations behind the four walls of the Kingdom Hall. For anyone who's not a Jehovah's Witness who might be watching this, maybe you need more context or you're trying to understand the gravity of all of this, here are 3 key reasons why the Swedish government's refusal to grant the Jehovah's Witnesses state subsidies is a landmark ruling. Number 1, they called bullshit. Sweden understands the difference between religious tolerance and an organization that's trying to pull the wool over their eyes. They understood that there's a difference between having the right to a religious belief and one's religious leaders enforcing consequences when that person's conscience should dictate what they do with that belief. When your boss gives you a paycheck, that's your paycheck. I mean, they can give you financial advice if they want, unsolicited financial advice. Maybe you use that money to purchase something that they feel is not the wisest investment. But at the end of the day, it's your paycheck. And you can change jobs if you so choose down the line. Swedish government's basically saying, look, you got the right to believe whatever you want to believe. You can believe that that person is bad association even, and you don't have to talk to them if you don't want to. That's up to you. But what you don't have the right to do is bully your parishioners into cutting off family members, or anyone for that matter, who decides to leave the organization. The irony of you weaponizing this concept of religious freedom to keep your cash while simultaneously taking away your parishioners' freedom to speak to whom they wish is not lost on us. Nice try. Number 2, they brought receipts. Okay, for any shunning deniers out there, whether you are a current active witness, an elder, watchtower goon, or you're just some random person out there watching this who cannot wrap their brain around the fact that a mother or father would actually disown their child over religious differences, I present to you the Shepherd the Flock of God book, all right? The official rule book of the Jehovah's Witness leadership, which up until 2025 openly stated in all its previous editions that anyone caught associating with a disfellowshipped or excommunicated person, including those who have disassociated or revoked their membership, is to face immediate repercussions. Now, if you happen to fall into either of these categories, this would mean your elder father might be removed from his position, or maybe your devout mother gets blackballed from her hen party. And let's not forget what they call people who leave and dare to speak out about these abuses. Defectors in the UK brought a libel suit against the organization in 2011 for being labeled mentally diseased, while the character assassination continued all the way up to as recently as the Jehovah's Witnesses 2025 Summer District Convention, where audiences were shown propaganda videos on jumbotrons and warned against these, quote, agents of Satan. And while Watchtower lawyers have previously attempted to avoid further scrutiny by the court, outright lying that family relationships continue as usual despite any excommunication that might have taken place, they couldn't weasel their way out of their shitty behavior this time around. When Sweden's Authority for Support to Religious Communities, the governing board that determines financial eligibility, pressed the Jehovah's Witnesses as, please, do elaborate on this history you have of ostracizing family members who leave, the Jehovah's Witnesses refused to cooperate. Like any good cult, they attacked the motives of the court and declined to answer. But the court brought receipts in the form of the Jehovah's Witnesses' own literature. It doesn't get any sweeter than that. Look, you can clutch your pearls, okay? I heard they were boinking for 5 years. I mean, I did the same, but that's besides the point, okay? We can speculate all we want and get lost in the moralistic weeds of why someone got excommunicated or disfellowshipped in the first place. Just as easily as we can debate how Jehovah's Witnesses have manipulated and misinterpreted scripture to justify their inhumane shunning, but it doesn't matter You don't have your Costco card anymore. Go shopping with mom. Mom is still a card-carrying member. You can still get your pallet of crab legs for $16.99 without dirty looks and condemnation. This isn't complicated. The Jehovah's Witnesses have the right to reject certain membership privileges or benefits to certain individuals who walk through their doors, who they have deemed, have not lived up to their ideological standards, but the degree of power that the organization has exercised over the private dominion of families, encroaching on their private lives and relationships through the use of threats and coercion, is blatant overreach that the Swedish government acknowledged and was wise not to reward. Number 3, Norway 2.0. You can't look at this Sweden ruling without thinking about Norway. The same thing happened in 2024 when the Oslo District Court denied Jehovah's Witnesses state subsidies for the exact same reasons, but unfortunately the organization appealed and won. But now, fingers crossed, Norway is pushing back. They're taking it all the way to the Supreme Court, and of course it remains to be seen. The final ruling is still pending. I mean, hopefully there really is a Norway 2.0 and the witnesses lose. Again, we have to wait and see. But here's the thing, Norway is onto them. France is onto them. I just did a video a few weeks ago about how a branch of the French government investigated abuses in various groups and how the Jehovah's Witnesses received the majority of complaints because of shunning. Just a few months before that, members of the UK Parliament ripped the Jehovah's Witnesses cover-up of CSA, mentioning, yes, that their shunning practice has facilitated the shaming and silencing of victims. It's everywhere. In this age of social media and access to information, the Jehovah's Witnesses' reputation is getting worse, rightfully so. They deserve it. They made their bed. The chickens have come home to roost, and the Sweden case is a much-deserved glimmer of hope for people whose lives and families have been completely fractured by the organization's shunning policy. And of course, the organization is going to pull the victim card and cry religious persecution, so the taxpayer can continue to line their greedy pockets. But the good news is, no matter the outcome of this case, Norway, France, the UK, the fact that the organization refuses to cooperate, the fact that they refuse to join any sort of redress scheme, such as with the Australian Royal Commission in 2016, the fact that they refuse to ever take any accountability for the harm they've caused, the fact that they refuse to afford their parishioners the right to leave with their dignity intact. All this is doing, this noise they're creating and pushing back and all these appeals, it's creating more bad publicity and it's going to hurt them in the long run. But hopefully this ruling holds up. Hopefully the Swedish government stands 10 toes down and doesn't reward an organization that has inflicted irreparable damage to families, severe psychological damage, and an organization who has actively worked to smear the names of people who are simply exercising their basic human right to change their beliefs. Anyways, if you want more information to the Sweden case, I'll leave a link in the bio below. Thank you so much for watching. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But for now, this is a huge win. See you guys next time.